you're being fed all of these things online.
Yeah.
Like for me, like of course, like at one point of time, I was following so many of these like female influencers, and they wake up at 5 o'clock, they meditate, they do this yoga in their living room, and then they do this like this 10-step skincare thing, and then they're out for a walk, they hit their 10k steps by 8 a.m. in the morning, they make this nice granola bowl with all the fruits in it, and then they look so put together, and then they're at work, and I always looked at it like, oh my goodness, like how the hell do I achieve that?
Hi, my name's Yudish. This is my wife Piya. We're a husband and wife podcast.
Every marriage has its stories, but not every couple decides to place a mic in front of them and share it with the world. This has definitely got to be our riskiest project yet. But what's more real than marriage, family, and business?
Wow, Piya, feels good to be back. Season 2.
Yeah, I know. It feels like we just started the podcast somewhere mid last year was when we kicked off the project, and it's already 2026.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
happy New Year, everyone. Hope everybody's having a great one.
I just want to say that, it's definitely been a really, really good year for us. And I think one of our highlights has got to be that we actually started this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was definitely a year with loads of highs and lows, like everything. But I guess it's what you learn from it and how you choose to evolve is what that matters. So we did a lot of reflection and taken the whole new year, new me to a whole new level, as you can see in my hair. So yeah, I just decided to just chop it off today. So in conjunction with my birthday month as well, January. But so I mean, like we were thinking about, okay, what do we want to talk about as like our first episode, right?
Yeah.
And then we were chatting a lot about routines.
Yes.
Because you know how like in the beginning of the year, everybody is obviously, trying to stick to a particular routine or a habit that they're trying to cultivate, right?
Yeah.
And then that's when we were talking a little bit about, wait a minute, but our morning routines, is it overhyped or is it actually necessary for growth? So what do you think about morning routines? Because I know that you are trying to implement something. So like, how's that going on?
So actually that's very interesting. For the longest time, I've actually been trying to figure what is that routine. And I mean, honestly, even till now, I still haven't really got that answer. I mean, I've personally, for me, I've always been an early riser, and I love starting my day early, and I realized that, even sometimes when I'm online, I'm searching on stuff and I'm looking at things, it deems and it tells me that, okay, look, you must have a morning routine. It needs to be very, very rigid in the sense that you got to start at this time, you got to do the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And I felt that when I started, trying to embrace and do that, I struggled to actually keep up with it.
So in a way, do you feel like there's a lot on like social media that kind of makes you feel that there's a certain blueprint of how morning routines are supposed to look like? And if we can't keep up with that, we're deemed to be, in a way, we failed.
Absolutely.
Right? Because the algorithm is feeding you, they kind of know what you're trying to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You actually hit the nail on that, because if you really look at it, right, even say, for example, on Instagram, right? So I personally have this habit where I'm very interested in people's morning routines. I think you can see when I meet people and
Yeah, sometimes just like randomly you're just asking them like, okay, so what's your morning routine? So but yeah, you were saying.
So I when I'm on Instagram and I search up looking at routines, a lot of it seems to stem on the bit of, okay, you gotta wake up at a certain time. You have to, it's a very fix things. This is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. And you know what's very interesting? Because you've searched that up, it's actually going to show you that every single time,
Like affirming that belief,
that
right?
affirming that belief. And so, of course, for me personally, I used to feel, okay, I have to do this. If I don't do it, I'm a failure. And you know this thing of when you have routines, right? When you first plan it on a paper, it looks beautiful. Very, very nice. But when you start practicing it, sometimes certain routines might not apply to each and every one.
Spot on. Yeah,
You know?
of course. Yeah.
How has it been? What is your take on routines?
Well, actually, to be very honest, I think for the longest time, I used to beat myself up because, firstly, is that of course you're being fed all of these things online.
Yeah.
Like for me, at one point of time, I was following so many of these like female influencers, and they wake up at 5 o'clock, they meditate, they do this yoga in their living room. And then they do this this 10-step skincare thing, and then they're out for a walk. They hit their 10K steps by 8 a.m. in the morning. They make this nice granola bowl with all the fruits in it, and then they look so put together, and then they're at work. And I always looked at it like, oh my goodness, like how the hell do I achieve that?
Yeah.
And I think I wasted probably a lot of my time in the last few years trying to make myself, okay, I need to be like that. Okay, I need to do this. I need to do that. But then when I realized, I think when was a turning point for me when it came to routines was sometime around last year when I discovered cycle syncing.
Oh, wow,
for me.
okay.
Yeah. So like I no longer view. So basically, I don't go by the day. I don't look at my life as a 24-hour clock.
Okay.
I look at it more of like a monthly thing. So what I mean by that is that so for me, a routine means at specific parts of my cycle, I am prioritizing certain things.
Okay.
So meaning that if I am in my menstrual phase, for example, I'm not going to be socializing at that time.
Yeah.
Neither am I going to be doing these intense spin classes.
Okay.
But when you're in your ovulatory phase, you can, kick ass at the boot camp classes and you're running and do your marathons. But that's where I've learned that, hey, wait a minute, it doesn't always have to look like another person's. You just have to figure out what works best for you. And it took a lot of trial and error, but eventually I realized that the cycle syncing method works best for me. So I no longer view it as like a daily thing. For me, a routine is more like, for me, it's going by the months.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
but I guess the biggest takeaway for me at that point of time was when I realized that it doesn't have to look a certain way for it to be deemed the right way.
Okay.
I don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. Every day, but there may be certain times in my cycle where I am more energetic, I'm able to do that. But there's certain times where you are allowed to sleep in a little bit or rest, So I think it's a little bit different. I'm trying to look at it from a very biological standpoint, it being different men and women. But then again, there are many women out there I know who have incredible morning routines and are able to be consistent. So I guess for me, it's more of an individual thing. You have to figure out what works best for you,
Okay. So I just, as you were talking of cycle syncing, how do you manage your expectations on yourself?
If I
When now
fall off the bandwagon.
that you're following the cycle syncing, right? You're following the cycle syncing. So how do you manage your expectation? Because maybe a certain week you are up and about going for your workouts and everything, and a specific week it might be different. So how do you
because
adjust it? Yeah,
it's like constantly changing. Is that what you mean?
Correct.
I think it's when you kind of really understand, like that comes back to my point, you see. If you follow what somebody else tells you that they're doing, even now I'm talking about cycle syncing. So if somebody actually goes and tries doing this thing without actually understanding why you're doing it, you are not going to be consistent and you're always going to feel like, oh my God, this is a bit too much. But I read the book, I have the app, so I've dedicated a lot of my time to trying to understand the concept and it works for me. But that's when I realized if you just plug something, so like I may have seen somebody do a morning routine at 5 a.m. in the morning without understanding, maybe there's a reason, maybe, I don't know, there's something there. So I guess it's more of like I'm a firm believer that when you understand why you're doing something, it sticks.
Fair enough.
Because you're not really
Fair enough.
following somebody else's blueprint. You're kind of carving out your own. So you realize that, oh, wait a minute, this is working. This is not working. I like that. Okay, if I don't follow this, I'm feeling a bit resentful. So far, I've tried so many different methods.
Okay.
And the cycle syncing one seems to work the best for me. But if anybody out there, if you're thinking of trying cycle syncing, my recommendation is to definitely read the book and try to understand it first. But like, I mean, in your case, because I mean, you're a male, right? So I've learned as well that men operate on a 24-hour clock.
Yeah.
So, and I realized that you do try your best to cultivate you have a proper morning routine. But this morning, in fact, was a great example of how I've seen that you've kind of learned to make it very Yudhishthira personalized, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, in the past, you time blocked.
Yes, correct.
How was it before and how is it different now?
Okay, so that's a really, really good point. So previously, when I used to, when I consume stuff I see online, where it says, I used to try and apply literally a copy paste. What does that mean? I will literally put in my calendar, 5:30 you wake up, 6 o'clock you got to do this, 6:30 you got to do that, 7 o'clock you got to do that. And what happened to me was I was able to do it for a couple of days. It worked very well. Suddenly, a slip up might happen. Maybe I overslept, or maybe I was not able to do a specific
Or maybe
task.
you fought with your wife.
Oh, maybe.
That happens a lot.
Where we end up having
not
a long night, I
having
guess,
a long night.
Yeah,
You wanted to sleep at 9:30 and end up sleeping at 1:30. But anyways, yes.
So it kind of like, it threw me off. And when that happened, I felt very discouraged. And I felt like, am I a failure? That I'm not able to be able to do this. But now, I found a workaround, and that's what happened today. I've told myself there's a couple of things that I need to do in the morning, which is, maybe for me, it's kind of sacred. Example could be meditation, reading my book, enjoying a nice cup of coffee, But how I do it will vary from day to day. So for an example, like this morning, we went running at, was it 6:30,
yeah.
right? Well, it was supposed to be 6:30, but we had some mishaps with the car battery
Yes.
and,
Yes.
And,
Not my fault.
Fine.
For once, I'm
enough.
not the reason for the delay.
Fair enough. But as me, I always tell myself you've got to be very optimistic. So I said, never mind, some minor glitches,
Yeah.
we still managed to do the run. And
True.
so, like an example, I did the run, but I came back
And you
and
did
did
the
the other stuff,
meditation and stuff.
which is
Yeah.
the meditation. I did the doing my push-ups and things. So
Yeah,
I tried to make it a bit more
exactly.
fluid.
Exactly. And I think that's actually such a big thing. It's a huge takeaway if you ask me, because I guess it's not about the order of how it's being done.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, focusing a lot more on why you're doing something. Coming back to
Yes.
my point about trying to understand why you're cultivating certain habits. Like for me, you've asked me many times, hey, why don't you come and meditate? Let's try this thing. And I told you that I know I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because like I struggle to sit in without like fidgeting. And second is that for me in the morning, I need to just get up, freshen up, wash up. I'm going to go for a workout, change into my clothes and get out the door. Whereas for you, I realize that your mornings are very sacred. You like to take your time
Yes.
and everything. So that's when we kind of figured out, we had that period of adjustment as well. Because, once you get married, you're in the same house.
Correct.
And then one person is sitting there and meditating and the other person is waiting by the door, waiting to go out. There's no right or wrong.
Exactly.
But the truth of it, I guess, is also really understanding, hey, I need this to ground me. And like for me, I start waking up on my drive to, like we run in Desa Park City,
Yeah.
so I wake up on my drive there, and like while walking is when I activate and I really get up. So I think it really, I see that shift in you, when you talk a little bit about how you're trying to rearrange.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just have even one more thing I wanted to add on. You see, routines doesn't necessarily mean it has to be tied to a morning routine.
Yeah.
Because each individual is perhaps maybe productive at a certain time, So for an example, there's some people, maybe their routine would be, maybe in the morning they're just a bit slow and
Like
just
night
want to take it
owls,
easy. Yes,
yeah.
night owls. But they feel from the afternoon onwards is where they're really sharp. And that's where they get things doing, and that's their routine where it kicks in. So I feel that routines are actually, it's a very individualistic,
So true.
to
Yeah.
say, there might be some basic frameworks you can look at, but you can't just copy something and paste it and expecting it to work.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess it really depends on why you want a routine, right? Like
Correct.
some people, like probably you want routines because it, like, you like structure.
Yeah.
You like knowing that, okay, at this time, this is what I'm going to be doing and this and this. And some people probably like routines because it's just grounding, right?
Exactly.
Like for me, I think I value my evening routine. Like
Okay.
I don't really have, when I say I don't have a morning routine, what I mean is that I don't have specific steps. For me, it's as long as I'm in work by a certain time and I get a workout done in the morning. But I value like my evening routine. That's
Yes.
where I do like my more extensive like skincare, light up the candle, and then like now we've cultivated this thing where we try and read like one page of
Yes.
this book that we bought together. So it's those for me are like routines to like unwind and everything. So I guess again coming back to the point you mentioned earlier that it's actually very individualistic.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think once you get married or you're living with a partner, it also in a way your routine affects your partner as well.
Correct.
So until and unless you kind of know yourself, like, hey, this is what I really need, don't disturb me. Like for you, I know your coffee in the morning is like a like no-go zone for me to talk to you about feelings and emotions at that time is the worst time.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you get my point, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And also I want to share something when we talk of routines from a person who's maybe a single person, a person who's maybe in a relationship, and a person who's married, and perhaps even a person who's retired.
Yeah. Or
So-
people who are having kids.
who are also having kids. So where I'm getting at with this is, you see, when example like for us when we're married, now we're married and all. So even when it comes to routines, as much I said it's an individual. That means, for example, a specific routine will work and apply to me. A certain routine will work and apply to you. For me, I feel it's also very good in a way to know that your partner is on board with you, because you just you hit a point earlier. Because for an example, if say I'm a morning person, like getting up early, I have got specific things I like to do. But for example, if say you're not a morning person, it's not fair for me to come and say, hey, you know what? You got to adopt and you got to
Yeah.
align and follow this routine, because if you don't, it means you're
not compatible
You're not compatible,
or
or
whatever,
it means you're a failure and things like that. I 100% disagree.
Yeah, no, I think
You
that's
know?
so true. It's first of all, I think in order to even have that conversation with your spouse or partner, it's important. It's us figuring it out ourselves as well, right? And that comes
Absolutely.
with a lot of like trial and error, and which I think definitely we had our share of that as well. I think like in the beginning, you're definitely a way more like you. I think I probably am more of a not as early of a riser in comparison to you. But of course, in the marriage, I would say that without realizing, you will kind of tune into, because like we at one point last time we used to really enjoy having like our breakfast together.
Yes.
Like now, but then we kind of switched it to like dinner now because we realize like work and stuff. But I think you kind of you'll find a sweet spot. But I
Correct.
think it's important to know that you're not going to get there immediately.
Absolutely.
And I think like sometimes like for me, I think I was very hard on myself, and even when we moved in together, when we started living together, I expected like, oh my god, like my entire routine is now shaken up already. I used to do all of these things, and then you also at one point, I remember, started feeling like, oh my god, like like it was a period of discomfort. But I
Yeah.
think that at that moment is when it requires the hard conversation lah, and which eventually
And I think, I guess maybe at that difficult moment was when, we had the hard conversations and we started discovering a lot about each other and understanding more. For example, even our routines, where we align it,
yes.
between us.
Yeah, and like what
Yeah.
is like something that I realized that you really need. Like I
Yeah.
realized in the morning, like when you don't do your meditation, your 20 push-ups, your reading, and your coffee, did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay, these 4 things, you are like cranky and like you're just like the whole time, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's like the evening one, the night before. If I sleep late, if I didn't manage to like unwind, do like my skincare, and like read my book and everything, I notice that it really throws me off the next day. So I guess it's also figuring out, okay, how can I be supportive to my spouse, even if it means that it looks different than what I know, but how can you be supportive? So I think that's something that we needed to learn as well. Yeah, so...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, I want to know a little bit about, so what has worked for you specifically? What will be your routine?
Oh, wow, okay. As I mentioned earlier, I don't have a morning routine. But I guess when I say I don't have a morning routine, is I don't have like specific like steps. But for me, I guess it's mainly wake up in the morning, definitely doing a workout. I skipped having coffee in the morning, so that's something that I'm not doing anymore. I moved it to like after lunch, and I'm getting into work by a specific time. So I think when I do these 3 things, I kind of feel like, okay, I'm ready for the day. But I think I value, in terms of routine for me, I look at it from a cycle syncing perspective, and I value my evening routine.
Okay.
That's important for me to unwind. I have more of a step there, which is like, cook by a certain time, have dinner together, skincare, read a book, and really like take some time off, try to not look at my phone and all of that. And for you, I guess it was like what you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I think for me, the main part of my routine has got to be, being able to, my meditation is something which is very sacred for me, and I find it has really helped ground me and remove a lot of the noise in my mind. And I would say even reading, because you're just fresh, and it's nice to read something positive and
uplifting in the morning.
It gives you a very,
actually that
it's
makes
a very
so
nice,
much sense. Yeah,
nice feeling,
Yeah.
And so the funny part of it, when we talk of the push-ups, right? So just it's a funny thing. I'm in a WhatsApp group with 3 other friends, and I'm going to be honest. This group is literally a group of me and 3 other guys, where we only use it when we want to meet up to go and have a couple of drinks.
Okay.
And,
that's very useful.
Yeah, well, it's literally every time it's, the group is when we are meeting up, or we are sharing the bill of, okay, guys, because one person has paid and the others are, paying their share. But where I'm getting at is that, I one day just turned around and said, you know what? Let's make a change. And that's when I challenged all my friends in the group. And I said, we're actually going to start doing push-ups every day. And we started with, I think, was it 5 or it was 10 that we started with, and everyone has to do it.
And
then
there's a penalty.
And there's a penalty. And then we increase it to 20. And to make it even cool is that we have, we have to record it as a proof, So
I've been doing the recordings, and sometimes I give like additional voice commentaries. But I guess,
But where it is, which is really nice, is that it has started teaching me the art of discipline. And to know that when you've set your mind and you said you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you have to do it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm not, as much as I'm saying it of discipline and trying, and saying whatever you're supposed to say and do it, I'm trying my level best, and I find that it really trickles down.
Yeah, to everything else that you're doing.
Everything else.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I think like end of the day, I think the reason, going back to like our point about routines, right?
Yes.
End of the day, I guess it affects your mood. And when your mood is affected, like if you're in a good mood, it affects everything else. Your relationship, how you show up at work, how you show up in your social circle. But I guess if you start off and it's already, like something's not going well, you don't feel great, I guess it affects everything else. So I guess a positive way to look at routines is, how can this help me in my growth? It doesn't necessarily have to look like person A or person B. Let me come up with my own version. But how is this going to help me evolve?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I hope that our particular episode has been informative. We've been speaking a lot about routines. We're very interested to know, what are yours? Do you believe that it's important to have a specific morning routine? Or is it something that is just overhyped? We'd love to hear from you. You can leave your comments.
I think it was a really, really nice chat talking about routines. And I hope we were, from what we have shared, it has some way or other, been able to help you guys in your day-to-day routines. And always know one thing that, it's not one size fits all, So take what works well for you, apply it, implement it, and don't be hard if you're not able to accomplish it on every day, but try your level best, at least even maybe more than 90% of it, and I think that's already really, really good. So all right, so don't forget to like and subscribe.
Here's to the turning points that shape us.